All right, guys, welcome to Unit 5 of World History 2. So we're going to talk about Unit 5, which is regional empires. So first, let's talk about the Ottoman Empire. This unit's very simple. It's very short and sweet. Okay, the Ottoman Empire is located in the Middle East. Okay, so they are Muslim. It includes parts of what is then Persia, Turkey, modern-day Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the Middle East, Israel, some even the Balkans at some of their high, even some of Spain at one point in time. So the Ottoman Empire is very influential, and how they do this is by spreading their faith. Their faith is their unifying force, okay? And the Ottomans get big and start history and cause a big commotion that starts World History 2. World History 1 kind of ends in right before Columbus. Why does Columbus have to sail the ocean blue in 1492? Well, the Silk Road that extends from China to Europe that brings all these goods into Italy for the Renaissance has to go through the Byzantine Empire. The capital, there's that little tiny dot there known as Constantinople. It is a huge city. It had 40-foot walls. It was impossible to invade. It was all that was left of the Byzantine Empire was that city of Constantinople, named after Emperor Constantine after he converts to Christianity due to a dream that if he put crosses on his shield, they would win their battle, and they do. Eventually, he's going to move his capital from Rome to Constantinople. Constantinople is going to be a huge trade hub because everything from Europe goes in, everything from Asia comes in, and they meet in the middle. This is a unifying area. Okay? So Constantinople is going to be held for hundreds of years, and sadly, in the 1450s, excuse me, they are going to be taken over. Sorry, I have a small cold. They are going to be taken over by the Ottomans, and the Ottomans are going to push in, and a new invention from the Silk Road is going to allow them to do that, and that is gunpowder. So they build huge cannons, and they are eventually going to blow the walls down and kill every man, woman, and child that's a Christian or part of the Byzantine Empire. The last Byzantine emperor is going to die in battle as well. It's going to be very costly. It's a peninsula. It's surrounded on water on all sides. It's almost impossible to invade. People really can't swim back then. It's very deep. They could always close the drawbridge and make it flood. It was almost impossible without the invention of gunpowder. But it being lost meant Christian Europeans, no longer had an access point. The Ottomans are still going to allow Europeans to come in and trade, but they have to pay a tax for not being a Muslim. So that's eventually going to lead to why Columbus goes around to the New World, because you can't go through Constantinople without paying a tax. And it's also more of a dangerous route as a Christian. Someone might have you killed. The big things they trade in the Ottoman Empire are coffee. You can think of Turkish coffee. And what do you drink coffee out of? Which is ceramics or a cup. Okay, that is the Ottoman Empire. They consist of Asia, Europe, and North Africa. So they got the Balkan area here. You have Northern Africa. You have the Middle East. They consist of 3 continents, one of the largest empires in world history. How do they keep the religion going so good is they are going to convert Christian and Jewish children by kidnapping them at a young age and letting them work exactly under the Sultan, which is the king of the Ottomans. And Islam is a very, very influential religion. It's not hard for it to spread, and it's very impressionable on the young Christian or Jewish kids that still don't understand the full aspects of their religion. Moving on to the other side of the world here, we have India. India kind of looks like that bear sitting on that ledge. It's right here kissing the dinosaur. It is in North India, and it is going to be also an Islamic empire. The difference with them is they are more open to trading with Europeans. They really like that profit. The important building that is made from them is going to be the Taj Mahal, built for a emperor or a Khan, which means king, his wife. Okay, so he's going to build it as a memorial to her. You can tell it is a mosque now because it has 5 pillars. We talked about the 5 pillars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But that is going to be a big part of the Mughal Empire and the culture of the Mughal Empire. They're more northern India and the coastal areas, not really down here in southern or the tip of India. They do things known as enclaves, which are little trade cities that are located along the coast, kind of like how Portugal does enclaves. They'll come and trade, and each city is destined to a certain European. They help build it up and stabilize it, and the Mughals will trade. They really like to trade with the Portuguese. They really like to trade with the British. They really like to trade with the Dutch. Everyone else they will trade with, but those are their friendliest and the most involved in the market. Of course, from India, what do we have goods-wise? Silks from textiles. You have spices, and you also have gems. Large abundance of gems. Think of Muslim bazaars where people trade, and there's elephants. That is a lot of what the Mughal Indian culture comes from. Let me show you what a bazaar is. Today there's still bazaars in the Middle East. But this is kind of what a bazaar would look like. It's just a little trading hub. Just a little trading hub where you would go and trade and interact with each other. Okay, and the British textile industry is going to eventually take over there for themselves. Let's go on to our next regional empire. Right here, our chicken. You guys remember what our chicken is? That is China. China is going to create foreign enclaves to control trade, like those little trade cities we just talked about. Everything was already in China. China had no interest in trading with Europeans. They did not like them. They did not want to deal with them. They have a very, or still have a racial superiority, or think they have a racial superiority. They do not like to trade and deal with. They say everything in China we already have. Why do we need anything from you? The difference is going to be when the Spanish get their goods over here. What did they get from all this mining? They get gold, and the Chinese will accept gold as payment. The Chinese are going to sell things like tea. They're going to sell things like porcelain. They're going to sell things like gunpowder. They're going to sell things like compasses, paper. If you ever get a question on a test and you don't know where something came from, it probably came from China. Today, where does everything come from? It comes from China. So China is not going to like foreigners. It's a seasonal thing. Like Hong Kong down here, you can come in and trade, but they're very limited on who can come. Okay, British are there a little bit in Hong Kong. The Dutch are there some. Very, very limited on who can come. The Spanish can come because they have a lot of gold. But if you are caught outside of a trading city, you're going to be put to death. Christian missionaries or Jesuits that we talked about try to go into China and spread Christianity. Christianity did not work for China back then. It does not work for China now. What's the problem? They have a one-party dictator. Back then they had an emperor. And that emperor is seen as holy or divine. They rule by divine right, which is the rule or being led. God put me in power, so therefore I am holy and my power is unquestionable. If you question me, you're questioning God, is their point of view. So they work, Chinese government works well with Confucianism, Taoism, Shintoism, a little bit of Buddhism, because there's no God in these religions. To China, the emperor is a god, and to question the emperor is a death sentence. We talked about Christianity. It's monotheistic. There's only one God, right? So does that work with China? No. If you're caught trying to spread Christianity in China, you're going to be put to death. So foreigners are only allowed to talk to certain people, which are government officials. They're not allowed to spread the faith. They're only allowed there certain times of year, like the spring or the fall. You're caught there any other time or any other place you're not supposed to be there, then woohoo, you are going to be executed. Okay, no questions about it. Very, very against Christianity due to that power of the emperor. Over here in our seahorse, which is right beside China, Japan is going to be the same way. Their emperor is treated like a god. They do not like Christianity. They do not want it to spread. And both groups are going to torture Christians if given the opportunity. The difference is China allows foreigners to come into these trade cities and stay in the city for a seasonal time. Japan has a policy of isolationism. And that means under any circumstance, we don't want to trade with you. We don't want to deal with you. They don't really trade with Korea, China, Japan, or Japan stays to itself. They don't trade with Europe whatsoever. If you're a European trying to come into Japan, you're going to be killed. Their emperor is treated even more like a god than China. They don't really practice divine right, but they do not like Christianity because it says the emperor is not a god, and that tells people, hey, we can kill the emperor, and that questions his authority. The emperor is seen as so holy that he's not allowed to do anything. He just sits there. He's not allowed to really work. He is seen as so holy, his job is to sit there and look pretty. He's not meant to do any work or any ambitious things. He's just meant to be there and live there. The true leader of Japan, which is the head of the samurai, is known as a shogun or a shogunate. And he is a military dictator or leader. The emperor doesn't question what he does. The emperor lets him do what he wants to do. The shogun leaves him alone, and both rule Japan. There's very few situations where the emperor has actually done anything in Japan. You can still look at the emperor of Japan today. Even after World War II, we don't execute Hirohito, which is the emperor, because it would cause so much trouble. He is worshipped, and that family has ruled for centuries and centuries. So we never took him out of power even after World War II. Who was the problem? Hideki Tojo, which was the shogunate of Japan at the time. So they do not want foreign influence. They do not want Christians in there. They do not want imperialism. They want to be left alone. In Africa, they're going to be colonized by the Portuguese in these enclave cities. Slaves are going to be traded to the New World through triangular trade. Remember, slaves are sent to the New World. Raw materials are produced by the slaves sent to Europe. And these European goods like guns are going to be sent to Africa for more slaves to go to the New World. It's a globalization or early globalization of the world. They're going to trade in things like ivory and gold. Ivory is just a tusk of an elephant. African imports, they're going to bring in new food products like corn and peanuts and manufactured goods that are going to be new for them. All of this, all in all, is going to bring around the commercial revolution. And when you guys think of commercial, think of money. If you're a commercial vehicle, what are you? You're a business vehicle. It's a little bit different. And at this point in time, it's all new, and the theory of mercantilism comes into play. It is a European economic practice to become self-sufficient. So Britain says, hey, we should be self-sufficient. To be self-sufficient, we should have more exports than imports. So I should be shipping more stuff to the 13 colonies or to France or to Scandinavia or Greenland or Iceland. I should not be importing more than I'm exporting. That means I'm losing money, and that's still a theory today. But they say that their colonies exist only for their benefit. So over here in the 13 colonies from Britain, split up. So 13 colonies are going to produce, let's say, some sugar cane. They're not allowed to have a factory over here. It has to go to England. It's shipped over here, and it's turned into molasses or rum. And then that rum is sent back to the 13 colonies and charged for even a higher rate. So they pay hardly nothing for the sugar cane, turn it into a good, ship it back, put it up 1,000% higher. And they make a lot of money over their colonies, and this is going to really tick off colonies. But these markets are going to create globalization and interaction and trade. People are interdependent of each other now, our countries. Banking systems are created. If you have a really good idea and you want to do something, all of a sudden, back then you would have to have your mom or dad to have some money. You would have to inherit money or be given money by a friend. At this point in time, if I don't have money but I have a really good idea, I can go give a spiel to the bank and they decide, do I deserve that money or do I not deserve that money? So they say, hey, I'm going to charge you an interest rate and I want you to pay it back and I want to make some of this money off this. And when you're successful, you can pay it back and then you can start buying more boats. You can start expanding. You can hire more people. So jobs like farming goes down and more economic jobs like a middle class is created. Capitalism, early ideas of capitalism. If you want to get insurance, say my boat and 100 other boats, we all get insurance. My boat burns down, then the other guys, by paying their monthly fee, is going to help pay for my boat. So we all are sharing the risk together. That's what insurance is. It's just a collection share of risk. Colonies are needed by the economic needs of their country. If Britain says, I'm not sending anything to the United States, well, then the United States has nothing they can do. If they try getting stuff from France, that's going to cause war. So it's not going to work at all. So all in all, that is Unit 5. We're looking at regional empires and an early point of view of our world globalizing. I'll see you guys in Unit 6.